are they enforcing their own blight ordinance or our blight ordinance?
It's a blight ordinance.
If the township doesn't have an ordinance, they'll enforce theirs, but then there's situations where, if I can't get enough information on the people, if I take it to the, sheriff's department, I believe they, look into that too, the way.
He indicated to us that you could have your own township blight ordinance and they would still enforce the counties, you just had to make them aware of it.
I do what I can do, and then sometimes if I don't get enough information, I can't take it to court, and then that's when I
Sometimes
take it.
a uniform makes a difference.
Yeah. Can you tell us, are they thinking about issuing tickets and, changing it to, misdemeanor? So, you know, so they'll have a record too, I heard rumor of that, is that what they're aiming?
That's where our action was headed, but then he kinda intervened and said he's currently working on those and it's working basically, he's got a number of them in the hopper and it's, I guess he kinda talked us out of taking any more action right then, so I'd just be curious to know how well this process works and whether or not the county needs to pick up the pace on our end.
Anybody got any questions with that? We'll move on.
With the zoning,
Pardon me?
with the zoning with Dave, are issues out in Honeymoon Heights there in that pile?
Now, which one?
Well, the cult that's out there,
The cult?
it's got the high fence, he's living in,
Okay, I
Fifth wheels.
couldn't do anything about that because, okay, for me to issue a ticket, I have to have either their driver's license number or, their birth date. And if I don't have that, I can't issue a ticket because it goes to court and there's more people with, my name or your name out there. And if they don't appear, they put a warrant out for the wrong person possibly. So, and the only way I can get that is through the, voters registration from, I forgot who I get from Todd. If they're not registered voter, there's no way we can get
Well,
there. And I checked with the sheriff's department, and they won't give me the information, which I don't blame them. You
well,
know.
But you have that information, cause that guy's a voter, we've talked about him, Todd.
Not on, them two houses that they put up a big
On
fence?
the corner of Hickory and, North County Line Drive, that's
Yeah.
what you're talking about, isn't it?
Okay, now, that other blight issue,
That
I
one?
didn't double check on back if there's another one, and I believe I didn't double cross reference, I think that's the same name,
No.
or he owns another property,
The one you're talking about is on Schmead Road that comes down the hill, and he had the outhouse.
Yeah,
And he has,
that's Casey Hill.
that's Casey Hill, but he, he never registered the deed with the county, so the previous owner, which is his aunt or somebody, pays the taxes, but she doesn't respond to anything else, and.
or there's one with a
so
different
who owns
name,
what?
and I believe it's,
Casey Hill.
the same name as there's two, blights along, that one road there. One's close to, where was that one at? Close to,
They're both on Cutler, I thought.
oh, Cutler, yeah, it was on Cutler.
Both on
That's not
Cutler.
And I believe the one with that fence, they have multiple addresses, I sent it to, it's kind of mixed
Well,
up.
would this be one of these, like the perfect situation to get with the sheriff's department and see if they'll go over there?
Yeah, well, I sent a 30-day notice to 3 different addresses because the people are using different addresses.
Right, but I'm just talking about the sheriff's department, turn it over to them like Pat was talking about.
Usually
Go to the sheriff's department and give them those addresses and have them check it out.
I checked with the fence, I don't know if they do anything about
I
the
checked with the
fence.
sheriff's department.
Well, the blight, now I talked to them a long time ago and they wanted me to, get pictures and give them a 30-day notice or whatever the township requires. And that way it shows them that they're not making an effort. And then they know, after that 30 days, that's when I take it into them.
So you take it to courthouse though, right? Or the
If it's a
sheriff's-
complaint and, yeah, I take that to the courthouse, but if, the people don't have, if I can't get the information from the people, then I take it to the sheriff's department, but, they want me to give them a notice for 30-day notice. Just like if a township doesn't have a blight ordinance, I still, the paper doesn't do any good, but I send them a 30-day notice, give them a chance if they don't respond to it. Then I take all my information to the sheriff's department, and then,
Yeah, I just checked with them, maybe they'll stop out there
Yeah.
or something.
Did you have a name at that address you're referring to? Do you know who it is?
I can't think offhand right now.
What is it?
That Phil name that came up before years.
the
Purple?
6-foot
Is it?
fence,
No, it's a 7-foot fence.
Yeah,
You're
it's
talking
bigger
about-
than that, especially on the one on,
On the.
the county line.
yeah.
Plus, that gentleman there, I started that paperwork to have, this started of May of 18. And all we've been getting is just, well, it's in the process. Our attorney has even tried to do stuff. The attorney goes over to there to talk to him, and he threatens to break Jordan's legs. I'm serious. Now, if he just got arrested for meth, and since I started the paperwork on him, there's 2 more up there.
Yeah, if I can get the, information enough to where,
What information?
I can't write a ticket unless I have their driver's license number or their birthday. The judge will throw it out. It won't even go to the judge, because they can't.
And so if you go right to the sheriff though and tell him this is happening, I mean, it's
I don't think
endangering
the
the
county,
neighbors.
I don't know
Have
if
you
the
tried
county
it? I
would
mean,
enforce,
You
I
think you
didn't
would?
try
I would try that.
for
I
a
think.
fence.
He just said he was
Yeah.
arrested.
That's
Or-
what,
Yeah.
He just said he
But
was
if- but if he
arrested
said
for
there's
meth,
just
2
two
more
more
to
there.
drive right to the courthouse.
Yeah,
Get it.
but if I mean, there's 2 more, somebody else is there, I mean, if they threaten to break the cop's leg, I think there'll be something else.
He's already
Yeah.
gone to court because he lost, and they were supposed to pull the trailer out, but nobody's afraid, or,
Everybody's afraid.
what trailer's that on what?
that's that 5th wheel, the one that I started with.
Okay.
And when they go out there, he's got guns and everything, and the cops won't go out to help him.
He's got 2 trucks now out in front with
Yeah.
no doors on, up on block. I mean, it's just turning into this.
Now, what,
Not getting-
do you have the address? Can I
Now,
look
I
into it, or
will,
give
I
it to
will
me?
call you tomorrow with
Okay.
every
I'd take it right-
information.
yeah,
I've
I take it right
written
to
him
the
up
sheriff
for
and
Yeah.
just
legal
tell him how
form.
bad it is.
Yeah.
I've given you his name.
Now,
and
the one on Cherry, one of the gentlemen that was down by the lake that lived there, he built the pole barn, okay, which you can legally do. Well, then he sold everything. He sold the pole barn separate to another guy that's got a 5th wheel in there with a fence around there. And that's all, you can't have that out there.
Now, Cherry, that's one street off of Birch, west of Birch?
Yes,
Okay, yeah, that's the
No,
one
that's-
that we couldn't
yeah.
get their, driver's license number. That's probably over a year ago. We couldn't get the information, so I couldn't go any farther with it, is what happened there.
Okay, my question, what about if you go there and say, I mean, you feel your safety is in danger, can you go to the sheriff and say, can you help me with that? I mean,
I would think so.
that's how I would feel if it's that bad, I would go to the sheriff instead of waiting 30 days.
Larry.
Pat.
Yes, but
This example is exactly the debate that was happening in our meeting, and the sheriff was there, and he said, have your townships contact us for these places. We can't deal with them if we don't know about them. He didn't need the driver's license number, he didn't need the parcel number, he didn't need anything other than the address of where they needed to drive to investigate it. So this sounds exactly like what he's asking townships to turn over to the sheriff's department, and they will handle it. So almost forget the Cato ordinance and the enforcement of taking it to the court and all that stuff, and dump those on the sheriff's department and let them have them.
Especially, you don't,
Yeah, but right now, there's about,
She was in our meeting.
right now, they're backlogged or something, even the court system, because they should have came up over a month ago, and it's still, nothing's happened yet, so I don't know what's happening in the court.
Someone asked him a question about how many of those he had currently and whether they could spring into action. And-
Yeah,
and
I'll
it
ask
sounded
them
to me
tomorrow,
like
I'll be
they
there, I'll
were
ask them if
more
they'll
than willing
enforce,
to take those on.
ask them if they'll enforce fence ordinance, even though I don't know if the county has an ordinance on
But
this.
some of the.
Give 'em the address and have 'em drive out there.
It's more than a fence.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's more than a fence.
Yeah,
If there's a meth lab out there, get them out there.
Yeah.
But that's the part I'd be curious to know,
How quick they can.
how you
go.
come out
Yeah.
on this, because his explanation to us is have the townships tell us where these are at, and we'll handle it. And then I'd like to know
If they
how
do.
well that's working
Yeah,
and
I'll
whether we can
branch
do it.
out and give them more than just blight. Only been doing blight for that. You
I
know,
think
without,
anything that's,
anything would be good, that'd be great if they'll do that, so.
I'd do that.
Dave, while you're there, you might also ask them about the place at the 730 Cutler Road that's been worked on for over a year now, that nothing's happened to it. Because they say there's no issues, according to the zoning guy in the township, but the place is a junk hole.
730 Cutler, what street's
It's
that right
in the
off?
7,000 block of Cutler,
Okay,
a junk hole that had a fifth wheel in it, and the guy moved the fifth wheel off for some reason, because they drained the, what do I wanna say? Lonnie Smith, what does he work for? Oh, the health department went out there, he moved the trailer off, I don't know where he moved it to, but the junk is still there.
does he have a building a long way there
Yeah.
too?
Yes, he threw it on
Okay,
top.
that's the one I just went to, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, whatever, and checked on it, because he's already paid a ticket. I gave him another ticket and he hasn't paid it yet, and it's tied up in the
Yeah,
court.
it's been
I
going on
can't,
for a year now.
I'm telling
I know,
the sheriff
that's-
too, we're both of them.
Well, I heard he just moved that fifth wheel farther back in the woods.
Right, so you can't see it
Right,
anymore,
so-
so that's what he's doing, is clearing out the back of the back behind the hut, so he's moving like some of that junk behind the hut, but it's still junk and it's
well,
still
since
there.
I gave him the last ticket, I've added more. He has a motorcycle on
Oh, he has tons of
blocks,
stuff
and,
in there.
he just added more junk. He organizes a little, but the junk's still there.
The junk's still there.
Yeah, I know, I have a lot of pictures of that place. so.
Yeah, cause that's been like a complaint for over a year now.
Yeah, I've been working on it. He's paid the ticket, and now the court,
Nothing's
it's
happened.
tied up with the court for
So
some
maybe that's
reason.
an address that the sheriff department needs.
Yeah, I'll go down my list with all the townships if that's the
Yeah.
case, and maybe they can, look into, cause there's a number of them in different townships too, so.
any other comments before we adjourn?
I have a question.
Hubbard, Cato Township, last meeting, Todd, you said you were working on the trail, and I believe you were on that as well, Jordan. Did you guys still come up with a site plan?
Don't have one yet, not a for sure one.
But you guys did since then have that meeting?
Yeah.
We talked to an engineer who's investigating
But no,
possible
no site plan?
No.
as far as it went.
He didn't say he'd have anything back to us for a while.
Spring you're thinking, or, I mean, I'm just.
Yeah, I was with
Okay.
that.
Anything else?
I have a couple questions. Do we pay the zoning Dave every month to come here to this meeting?
Not to come.
And then do we pay him to,
He's retained by the month period.
so as many meetings as he goes to, that's what he's required to come to for the month?
I'm not required, but I
He's not
do,
required to be here at all.
just to stay involved.
Okay, cause according to the MTA guys, the zoning administrator should be at every planning commission meeting. In the planning commission meeting, the planning commission should have a liaison, which would be Dave, to the board to relay back information. Is that not correct?
To relay information from,
Cause if you were at the planning commission meetings, you would tell somebody, Dave, whoever, reports back to the board.
well, Dave does that.
We
I
got two
understand.
days.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
we
what
have
she's
two
saying.
people doing the same thing right now on the board. That's-
Well, I'm not, I don't report from the planning
He's
commission.
not on the board.
I'm not
I
on-
understand he's not on the board, but I don't understand why he's here every month when it's Dave's, his job to be at the planning commission meeting, and Dave appears to be the zoning liaison person to the board.
He is our zoning administrator.
No, she's saying, you can, I guess, Dave comes to our meeting, but see, our problem is, we only have a meeting every 2 months. Here we have it every month, so what Jenny's saying is, I should be bringing what Dave tells us on our planning commission here instead of Dave coming here, is what, you follow me, Todd?
I got you.
That's what she's.
I'm just wondering if he's been asked over the years to be here every meeting, or what the deal is, cause this is like the only meeting that I've been to in several townships where the zoning administrator actually sits at the board table. and actually plays a part in the meeting. So that's just, I was curious.
We appreciate him coming.
Also, I have a question, are our deputies bonded?
Our deputy clerk and treasurer,
Our deputy clerk and treasurer?
they're bonded by a position bond through our insurance,
Through a surety bond?
a position bond,
What's that?
through, well, it's by position. Matter
It
of fact,
falls under me, under my bond. The deputy judge's bond falls under my bond, like, she's covered under my bond. So if something went wrong, it falls on my head, cause I'm the treasurer.
it's not by name, it's by position.
Yeah, it's like the clerk can have a deputy clerk, if the clerk goes, the deputy clerk goes. If that's what you're asking, they fall under the clerk, deputy
I
clerk.
understand that, but if you look at the MTA guide, it says that all the deputies must be bonded.
The insurance
And that
company
was my
takes care of
question,
that
is
for
are they
us.
bonded? Are the deputies on the bank accounts?
No.
Joyce and Larry and I are the only ones in the bank accounts.
Joyce and Larry and Todd. Okay. And I guess I just wanna reiterate what Lynn said, the transparency in other townships is way better than it is here. I mean, I think that there's so many people that are really irritated and so many people that don't trust what's going on, that a little more transparency and just a tiny bit more effort in what you're handing out to us would go miles into what's going on here. So I just would like to you to take that into consideration. And the bonuses for the planning commission, it doesn't appear there's been any kind of anything talked about on it. And I think it's been a month now and nothing's happened. Now we're looking at another month. So is like this something that's gonna go on for like a year, like everything else does, or what, you know? Nobody reacts to anything, nobody does anything, they just like say, okay, or we'll think about it, or whatever. It's like, this isn't something that we should just think about, these are things that you should be reacting on.
Well, we did we have to, by statute, set our budget every June for.
Okay, we
fiscal year.
understand it's a budget, but we don't understand that there's not bonus money that could be paid out to these people.
We just asked him to go to Phil and ask him for a recommendation of
So
what he's
you
looking
can't
for.
come up with something and go to the planning commission and propose something to them? I mean, you just tossed it back into Dave's hands, and Phil was just here last month and you could have asked him that. So we're not allowed to go
Well,
on another
we did
month, it's
ask
just an
Phil,
ongoing thing.
I did ask Phil, if you remember, what, if he would research the planning commission,
But you asked him to research other planning commissions.
and he said that should fall back on me, which I
Right.
did.
You asked him to tell you how much other planning commissions were paid, and he told you that he thought that was your job.
And he gave it to
And
Dave.
I agreed, and I gave that to Dave tonight.
We aren't gonna argue.
No, I'm just saying that I think you need to take it into consideration, you need to take some of these suggestions a little more serious.
Any other, comments?
I got one thing if there's not.
What do-
I got one more thing if there's not, what I brought
Okay.
up, there's nobody else. So I'm wondering to myself now, being planning commission, I think I'm gonna wait till we find out what Dave, find out the sheriff department, but maybe if it does fall through and it happens like it should, then I'm wondering if a proposed changing in our zoning, if it looks like it, I mean, if he's done it for 2 times or 1 time and nothing's happening, that we have it right in our zoning, he takes it right to the sheriff's department to keep this. I mean, wasting Dave's time and the court's time, there's no use.
We'll just do it the first time.
Yeah.
See if I get taken care of.
So I'm wondering, maybe we can see how this, if it doesn't work with the sheriff, then I'll wait till we find out what's gonna work before we change the whole. That's my, put a note down. Okay. That's all I have.
Any other thing?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion was made to adjourn, is there support?
Support.
Support. All those in favor say
I saw Adam, he was at that compound